Gundam.tk presents ZZ Gundam. What's up everybody, this is Robert184 from Gundam.tk and I'm continuing my look at the high-grade 144th ZZ Gundam. Don't forget to check out the earlier parts for a review of the mobile suit as you see it there on your left, but now it's time to take a look at it all transformed, because remember, this is the 80s. So to transform this in the order that they spell it in the directions, you're just going to take the core fighter and pop these off, and then put them back on in their new position. And they don't stay on as well here, but they do stay on surprisingly a little bit better when they're separated from the main body. For the Mega Beam Rifle, we're going to bend these down, bend these around, and then you can bend them in, and then this is going to become the cockpit, or whatever, the front-looking part of the plane-looking part of the science fiction flying transforming robot. For the Gundam itself, you're supposed to pull off the arms, pull off the head, and pull off the backpack, and then separate the chest from the waist. With the chest, you're going to pop off these shoulders, pop off this blue part, slide off the front of the chest, and remove this red part from the front. Once you've got this left, you're going to reach into your Ziploc or wherever you keep your extra parts, and take this part and fit it on here, and then reattach everything in its now lying down position. So the chest part slides on here, the shoulder parts go on solidly, and it's not too hard and it's not too easy to take them on and off, which is just right, and then you'll just cover up this polycap here with this blue part which you can store in the base. Plug the red part from the cockpit down here, and then you'll notice that this part is just going to fit into here, and we have a pretty solid feeling beginning of the core top. Nothing complex in the arm transformation, you'll just pop off the manipulators, you'll spin this blue part around and up, and then spin this around here at the shoulder, and then you'll take this small thruster from the base and plug it in down here. The next thing to do is to take the arms, make sure that you get the shoulder polycap down into place, plug that back into the shoulder, and then you will pivot this red part and pop this up, and this is the kind of effect you're going to get. Now you'll notice that I put this straight on the action base because if you look at the way this is, there's absolutely no landing gear or anything of any sort there in the back. So of course it's got way too much stuff in the front, and actually sometimes I sort of like it if you put these barrels off to the side instead of underneath. But I have to say, the effect is a little bit better than I expected. It's very sleek and slim, a lot more so than the master grade anyway. For comparison purposes, here it is, just sitting around on my turntable base. Blasting off into the sky, it looks like. To make the core base, on the other hand, basically take these legs and say goodbye to them, because you're going to take apart everything, starting by taking off the lower legs from the top of the body, and then you're going to take off all of these individual parts. So this is what you should be left with. So the first thing we're supposed to do is take this part of the lower leg and transform this into this, and the way you do that is by taking everything off and putting it all back into place with a few parts left out. So on both sides you'll detach this part, and inside there's this small white part that you'll pop off, and then after bending this in, you're basically going to put everything back together again, and after flipping it over and putting in the thruster, you're going to put this part in now at this end instead of the opposite end. And I have to say that I'm impressed with that mechanism, that you've just got these basic little wedge pieces inside here, and once you pop them off, or in mobile suit mode it keeps them out, and then when you want to put it into this mode, you just transform it and everything fits down small and snugly into place. Pretty cool. Then after you've pivoted these thighs around, you're just going to plug everything right back in. Next up, you can see that we have these nice looking black stickers here, but anyway, we're going to pivot these up and then rotate them 90 degrees like this. And then on the back we'll remove this white part because we're going to use that polycap to put everything together. For the backpack, all you have to do is make sure that the beam sabers are straight, and fold these parts out, and then remove this red part which we used to attach it to the Gundam itself, and then we're going to get ready to put this onto the Gundam. Then we plug the core fighter in. You'll notice that there's this nice slot here that you can just slide that right into, and then we're going to put on the backpack. And it is attached by putting on this large red part into the polycap that we just exposed, and then just plugging this in. And slightly disappointing is that you'll notice that there's pegs there on the backpack, and that they could go down into the legs, but when they do go inside, they actually don't hold anything into place because they're not a solid gripping part. The attachment point for the action base is deep inside that red mechanism, which is good because it hides a little bit of the action base when you mount it. So here we have the core base, and the first thing that I noticed is if you look how straight, of course I don't have everything lined up just perfectly, but you get an idea that the legs just come straight out of the core fighter, and I have to say that I like the simple, straight and clean lines on it. The base looks a lot better than the top just because it is in that flat line and it's not expected to hold itself up. But again, mostly the thing that I'm most impressed with is just the colors in the front. The red bar looks good holding everything in, but it's the details on the core fighter and the blue wings and the yellow accents that really make it stand out. So side by side, I have to say that I like these. First of all, they're small, they're compact, but they still really have the feeling from the anime. And this one by itself looks like a pretty cool jet. I mean, this could be a model kit in and by itself, just with the way it looks transformed. And this one, outside of the fact that it looks really horrible with this lack of landing gear in the back, still looks pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with them as separate units. Let's see how they look now as the Fortress. So this transformation is fairly simple. We're just going to pop off the core fighter from the front, trying not to lose the tail, and then you'll bend these down to allow the core top to attach on here. I haven't done it yet, but the 5 white parts we've taken off, as well as the shoulders, etc., can plug in here to the bottom of the action base, but instead I've just attached it on. It fits fairly securely into the red part there on the chest, and the legs, though, are a little bit loose, but if you line them up just right, they'll stay in there. And we're going to remove the attachment from the action base and plug it into this square part here. So here it is, spinning around to see you, the G Fortress. And I have to say that for size, this thing is a lot bigger than, it looks as big as a master grade Gundam, basically just laying down, even though this is 1/44. It's pretty massive looking. It doesn't look too Gundam-y underneath here, but again, because this is on the action base 1, it really is big. And by that I mean that it's really separated from the ground there. But overall, I have to say that the effect is pretty cool. So there you have it, everybody, the transformed high-grade Universal Century ZZ Gundam. And I gotta say, overall, I'm pretty impressed with it. I like it as the core top, I like it as the core base, and it's massive as the G Fortress. Works with the action base really well, and the transformation, despite the fact that I have a whole bunch of leftover parts now that are going to get lost unless I put them away soon, I have to say that for a 1/44 kit, I really don't have too many complaints about it. Anyway, why don't you let me know what you think down below with a comment. And remember, this is Robert184 from gundam.tk. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for my final thoughts. Thanks again. I should ask Dr. Ebot to make some sort of gatai music here for gundam.tk. Without it spinning around? But now I'll spin it to you. I remember when I used to spin models around this way.